Hello and welcome to another edition of Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Olarinde. On the program this week, it's getting cold in Gaza. Displaced Palestinians are finding ways to keep warm from the winter. Meanwhile, a doctor in Lebanon is offering medical help and hope to injured people in the port city of Tyre. Plus an emotional reunion of two sisters who were separated at a young age. Despite the bombardments from Israel on Lebanon, a doctor in war-torn Tyre says there is no more fear as it has been replaced with determination. Nephrologist Dr. Wael Mure stands as a pillar of resilience at the Jabal Amer Hospital, caring for those in need.
As the war has turned Lebanon's idyllic port city of Tyre into a ghost town, 49-year-old nephrologist Dr. Wael Mure stands as a pillar of resilience. As director of Jabal Amer Hospital, one of the only three medical facilities still operational in southern Lebanon, he has chosen to stay behind to care for the injured, even as his own family has sought safety further north.
As for me, I am here, not moving. My whole family is up in the mountains, but I can't leave. In the end, we are like a family here at the hospital, and the family stays united from all sides. My brother, the head surgeon, is here too, the eldest. The rest of the family is in Beirut, and we keep in touch by phone.
Having lived through the turmoil of past wars, Dr. Mroy is also too familiar with the sounds of bombings and site destruction. Determined to shield his three children from the horrors he once experienced, he sent them away, fully aware of the personal risk he faces by staying. Inside the hospital, the challenges mirror those outside, with only a fraction of the medical staff remaining, about a quarter of the doctors, and just over a third of nurses. Dr. Mre has opened the facility to their families, allowing them to live within its corridors to maintain essential services. He tends to around 30 patients with serious injuries, many unconscious, and coordinates daily transfers of stable individuals to Beirut.
There is sadness and there is a longing. It is more than crying that I am doing, and the roads are terrifying. We try as much as possible not to move. I'm sleeping in the hospital, living in the hospital with the nursing and medical staff. The hospital has become like a family, what we call in Jabal Amer, the family of Jabal Amer. It's the family we grew up, and now we are all here. There is deep sadness and a great longing for our families.
Despite the dangers, including strikes in medical facilities that have put several hospitals out of service, Dr. Mre's commitment remains unwavering. He perceives these attacks as attempts to break the community's spirit, but refuses to yield.
At first, of course, there was fear, and we were careful and made plans. But after seeing all the crimes happening, all the martyrs arriving, we are no longer as affected. We used to work in fear, but now, no, there is no more fear. It's been replaced with determination. We have made a decision, all of us, as employees, to stand firm and keep going until the end, until the last stone in the south. I tell you, until the last stone in the south.
Tyre has been considered safe for much of the year, in which Lebanese armed group Hezbollah and Israel had been exchanging fire. But intense Israeli airstrikes have led to fears that nowhere in Lebanon would be safe.
Winter is fast approaching in the Gaza Strip, and with no end in sight to the war, displaced Palestinians are finding ways to keep themselves warm from the cold. A clothing initiative, Needle and Thread, is helping displaced Gazans sew winter clothes from blankets.
With winter approaching, Palestinians in Gaza's Khan Yunis are transforming blankets into winter clothing as part of the Needle and Thread project. The initiative is led by Nida Atia, a 31-year-old designer who mobilized her resources to address the severe clothing shortages in the Gaza Strip due to the closure of the border crossings.
Winter is coming for the second time and people are without any clothes. There are no clothes that entered the strip, so we tried and thought a lot about how we could find a solution to the lack of fabrics. And we came up with the idea of recycling thermal blankets into winter clothes. We made tracksuits for children from 3 to 14 years old. We made hoodies for boys and girls. We also made tracksuits for boys and girls older than 14 years.
The project, initially reliant on hand-sewn winter garments, now operates with a sewing machine powered by a bicycle to compensate for limited fuel and energy resources.
The simple equipment we work with does not accommodate the size of the demand. We hope that our project will expand more and more. We are trying to help people in the displacement camp, especially on the beach, to find winter clothing. We hope that there will be more light shed on business owners who have been harmed by the war.
Atia and her team, mostly volunteers, though some do receive a small income, transform blankets into tracksuits, hoodies, and warm winter garments. They sell the clothes for between 70 shekels, or $18, and 120 shekels, or $30. But prices are lower for those who bring their own blankets to be sewed. Israel has vowed to eradicate Hamas, the group who formerly controlled Gaza, and whose attack on Israel last year triggered the war, but in doing so has laid waste to much of the territory and killed tens of thousands of people. More than 1.9 million people have been left destitute and desperate for food.
We have been displaced for more than a year now. We lived through the winter, and now winter is coming again. And now we don't have anything. I mean, there are no winter clothes at all, not in the market, and not to dress my sick daughter. The border crossings are closed. I had to take the blanket to make clothes for my daughter, so she can keep warm, because if I can stand the cold, she can't stand the cold.
Hamas-led fighters attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, killing about 1,200 people and taking about 250 hostages to Gaza, according to Israel tallies. The death toll from Israel's retaliatory campaign in Gaza surpassed 43,000, according to the Gaza Health Ministry.
Here in Africa, a school teaching the Sudanese curriculum in Libya has reopened, and it's to meet the demand from increasing numbers of displaced Sudanese children from families that are fleeing the 18-month war.
A Sudanese school in Libya restored hope for many displaced children looking to continue their education following war in their homeland and on affordable cost. Al-Takamul School in Misrata accommodates an estimated 512 displaced students, some of whom have been out of school for nearly 2 years. Sama Mohammed escaped from Sudan with 6 children through an illegal route and found a place for her to work, for children to study.
Thank God. I am very, very happy that we arrived safely after the suffering we had to endure in the desert. My second goal was education, and I'm grateful I got a job at the school. I offered them my services, and thankfully they agreed to let me work with them.
The school also provides education for children with special needs or those affected psychologically by the war.
A large number of children are experiencing psychological stress due to the trauma from the war. So we started working on social integration, support and building their self-confidence to help them recover from the impact of the war. Many of those children have come from the war in Sudan, and thank God they have found a good environment here. We're working with them to help them move beyond the difficult phase they were in.
Tahani Mohammed Saleh, mother of Mohammed, who has special educational needs, enrolled her son after he suffered psychological issues, involuntary urination, fear, and loss of appetite due to the war. Saleh said she sells Sudanese products to meet her family's needs, and although the enrollment fee prevents her from registering all her children, she managed to enroll Mohammed, who was the most affected among his siblings due to his special needs requirements.
They used to study in Sudan, even those taking higher exams, and they attended the best schools with good levels of education. But now, because of the war, many have dropped out. I have a lot of Sudanese products that I make, sell, and market to help them. Right now, I'm supporting Mohammed because he's the most affected among them, and his situation is special. The others, as soon as God provides for them, will return to their studies because they are fully capable and mature, but Mohammed needs a little more support.
The war between two factions, the Armed Forces and Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, began in mid-April 2023 after their rivalry burst into the open over internationally backed plans for a transition towards civilian rule.
Welcome back to the program. It's tears of joy for a pair of Korean sisters that became reunited after nearly 40 years apart. They were separately adopted as young children, but thanks to a long-forgotten DNA test, they were able to find their way back to one another.
Tears, hugs, and joy marked the reunion of two Korean sisters who finally met in their home country, South Korea, nearly 40 years after they were separately adopted abroad. The emotional reunion between 38-year-old Dara Han from Philadelphia in the United States and 39-year-old Ji Won-ha from Berlin, Belgium, was possible after they conducted a DNA test through MyHeritage, a global DNA testing company.
A lot of feelings. Happy is overruling, and everything else is connected to happy. But we're glad we're finally here together. It took a long time. But it's worth it.
At the Luncheon International Airport, they hug each other tightly in front of a waiting media.
Yeah, and I've been thinking on the whole flight over, like, what am I going to do when I meet her? Is it going to be, am I going to run? Am I going to do something? And then I saw her and I just needed to run.
In Belgium, Jin Won, who runs a knitting and sewing shop and is a mother to 3 children, was navigating life as a Korean adoptee. Inspired by the story of another Korean adoptee who found her sister through a DNA testing, Jin Won took her own DNA test in April 2023. Meanwhile, Dara, who works as a project manager for a company that builds museum exhibits, had already done a DNA test through MyHeritage in 2018 and had almost forgotten about it while waiting for the result. In May 2024, MyHeritage sent them a system match notice.
I had some questions about being Korean, and I just sort of pursued that at my own pace. And 6 or 8 years ago, I decided to take a DNA test, but I didn't get any results, and I just kind of forgot about it until she sent me a message in May. For me, it does answer a lot of questions because we share so many similarities, and we share some appearance. Sometimes we look alike, sometimes we don't. But we share enough in common that that I can feel like there's someone else out there like me.
The two sisters plan to find their birth mother and chase more answers together with questions they had their whole lives.
We have the files where the name of our mom is noted. And we're gonna try to do whatever is in our possibilities to reach out to her. So she knows that we are looking for her, that we would like to meet her and would like to tell her that we're fine. Because as a mom myself, I never stop worrying about my children. So there's no possibility that she's not thinking about us. But our lives are changed. Yeah, absolutely.
We're winding down on the program in South Africa, highlighting the significant contributions of the Nigerian community to South Africa's economy. This was at the inaugural launch and gala dinner of the Igbo Lawyers Association in Johannesburg.
The event-themed Faith of Resilience brought together Igbo lawyers in South Africa to reflect on their contributions. Ugo Anyam serves as the chairperson of the Igbo Lawyers Association of South Africa.
In response to the teething career challenges faced by our founders, however, we have since evolved, positioning ourselves not merely as a professional organization, but as a proponent of a truly federated system.
In his keynote address, the High Commissioner of Nigeria to South Africa, Timitope Ajayi, hailed the community.
If there is any country in Africa that have seen a critical mass of Nigerian professionals that are doing well in different endeavors, South Africa is one. Because here is a country where whether you mention the medical field, you find Nigerian there. Whether you mention the legal field, you find Nigerians there.
But how is this formation of the Igbo Lawyers Association impact the local Igbo community?
Well, the whole idea of putting up a gathering like this is to celebrate a milestone of sorts. You know, we have come a long way. A lot of us, if you listen to my speech earlier, a lot of us arrived here, you know, either with one degree or the other, but the need arose, you know, to be self-employed in a lot of ways. And most of us, you know, at the time took the time to go back to school, you know.
Yeah, I think it's important to have this type of things so that people would know that we exist, you know. Like the High Commissioner was telling me that he wants to meet with me in his office so that we can discuss on bringing people like me together more often.
The High Commissioner of Nigeria to South Africa, Timitope Ajayi, urged the leadership to expand the scope of the organization and consider renaming it the Nigerian Lawyers Association of South Africa. Now, in response, the chairperson of the association stated that they would take this suggestion into consideration. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samos.
Finally, the 2024 Al-Kabulan Immigrants Impact Awards in Sandton, Johannesburg, celebrated the invaluable contributions of immigrants to South Africa. Now, the event recognizes their significant impact across various sectors, including the economy, culture, science, and the arts. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Samosa, reports.
Celebrating the invaluable contributions of immigrants to South Africa, highlighting their significant impact across various sectors.
The history of immigrants and refugees in South Africa highlights the nation's complex relationship with immigrants.
The Transvaal Scottish performance captivated the audience. Channel's television correspondent Innocent Samosa was honored with the Ubuntu Award for his dedication to sharing impactful and uplifting African stories. And we had the opportunity to speak to some winners.
It's really a great achievement to acknowledge that there are people who see what I do and the difference I'm making in the community. So it really means a lot to me and my team.
So I basically won the People's Choice Award, right? And this is actually my very first award. I'm 20 years and I've never received an award in my life, and this is my very first. So it was quite an emotional moment for myself.
Linda Ben is the co-founder of the El Kabulan Immigrant Impact Awards.
How the idea came about, it was purely from our traveling experiences, that is from myself and my co-founder, which is Tebo. So we had an opportunity to travel the world, and in different countries we were well received and warmly so. And then when you came home, you would sit around, all the negative things that South Africans would say, around issues of migrants, and with reason, to an extent. But we felt that, we needed something to be done to have a platform that we can use as an educational platform.
Absolutely. I think, when you see people come out and make the effort to come to such an event, already we are experiencing from music, to cultural drumming, all of those things that we never ever understood before. And when we create more dialogue, more communication, there's more understanding.
Indeed, it was a night filled with celebration, music, and dance. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
And that's the program for today. Remember, our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you so much for watching the program. I'm Layo Olarinde. Bye for now.